So when you have diabetes and you want to exercise, there are a number of factors that come into play that, because you're trying to look at balancing your blood glucose with everything else, with your health and your fitness. One particular one I want to discuss is exercise timing, and this can be really relevant. I've had many people over the years come to me and say if they exercise first thing in the morning before they've eaten or taken any medication for diabetes, that their blood glucose tends to rise rather than drop, and this is a fairly common phenomenon. It has to do with the hormones that your body releases overnight while you're fasting to keep your blood glucose from dropping too low. So, for example, we have highest levels of a hormone called cortisol in the first thing in the morning, and until you eat something and your body releases insulin, or you take some insulin to cover that food, you're going to tend to be really insulin resistant. To get around the insulin resistance of the morning, the easiest way to do that is to simply break your fast with breakfast of some sort before you work out. So in many cases, if people see an unpleasant rise in the morning, if they simply do that and have their body release insulin or take a little bit of insulin that's enough to cover that, they don't see that rise. On the other hand, I know many athletes with type 1 diabetes who prefer to work out first thing in the morning because their blood glucose is more stable and they don't have to worry so much about it dropping while they're exercising. So studies have shown if you do the same activity before breakfast as opposed to later in the day, your glucose is more stable, it will drop less, but it may go up. So it's just something to consider when you are trying to figure out what's the best time. People ask me what's the best time of day to exercise. I always say it's the time when you have time to do it, like when you're likely to do it, not when you're not going to do it. But you can work around that, just keeping in mind that your response early in the morning may be different than your response later in the day, and you need to compensate for that. But other things also impact it. For example, the last time you ate, when you last took any diabetes medication, whether you're physically tired, whether your glycogen levels are low, what you've been eating, and all sorts of factors. So it's good to learn more as much as you can about those different factors so you can understand your exercise responses.